Just another day in GTA Online, and Rockstar have just recently added auto shops to Los Santos, so I've gone and bought the one down by Mission Row, so let's go check it out. Okay, it's just around this corner here. Let me just park it up real quick. That will do. You little bastard! So it's no surprise that we've all been annoyed by the Mk2 Oppressor at some point whilst playing GTA Online, and it's one of the most hated vehicles of all time, with many believing it should never have been added, and to this day it's still infamous for being the griefer's weapon of choice. So with all this controversy around one vehicle, it triggers the question, will the Oppressor Mk2 return in GTA 6 Online? But to answer this question, I have to take you back to where it all began. The Oppressor Mk2 was released on August 14th, 2018 as part of the After Hours update. It had a price of just under $3.9 million with a trade price of just over $2.9 million. But you've also got to remember that this was the price before you applied any upgrades. And by default, the Oppressor Mk2 was fitted with only 2 front-facing machine guns, similar to the ones equipped on the Ruiner 2000. But when you went to upgrade the Oppressor Mk2 using the new Terabyte, that's when you could really customize the look of the Oppressor and make it your own. You could choose new liveries and other bits similar to all the other vehicles in the game. But the dangerous bit was when you upgraded to the homing missiles, which only cost $126,000, and that then turned this into the lean mean killing machine that we all know today. And adding on to this, the Oppressor Mk2 then soon became the centerpiece of GTA Online's militarization, along with the Deluxo and the Stromberg added a few months before with the Doomsday heist. And all of this really signified Rockstar's ambition to move away from realism and boots on the ground to more chaotic and futuristic vehicles. And many players really began to dislike this shift in the game, from the low-level crime simulator that we are all so familiar with, to the incessant need for military-grade vehicles and weapons, and this led to lots of standard and more fun vehicles just becoming obsolete. But I'm sure you have an opinion on that, so let me know down below. And while you're there, make sure you like and subscribe because we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Anyway, back to the video. Over time, the Oppressor Mk2 became more and more popular, but for a way more innocent reason than you may think, and that was transportation. The Oppressor Mk2 quickly became one of the fastest ways, or if not the fastest way to get around Los Santos, and with the speed glitch it just became plain convenient, and if you were an MC president you could just spawn it in right next to you, unlike the Hydro or the other planes in the game. So quite simply, it was just the easiest and best vehicle to use, and lots of us, including myself, just use the Oppressor Mk2 ethically, such as to quickly transport us between businesses like the nightclub and that one bunker all the way at the top of the map, as well as coming in super handy for defending your product and your MC businesses. So after a while you were essentially wasting loads of time if you didn't own the Oppressor Mk2. But unfortunately, for all its benefits and utility that it provided, it then quickly shifted to being abused by the player base, mostly for all the wrong reasons. The Oppressor Mk2 required zero skill to operate. It was quick, nimble, and you could fly it perfectly horizontally, as well as featuring extremely accurate homing missiles which were near impossible to dodge or counter, and this led to this one vehicle essentially ruining PvP, and it created loads of seriously unfair lobbies. And adding on to this, it basically became the trademark of all griefers. Gone were the days of reversing Zentornos being impossible to deal with. Now we just had a hovering or flying motorcycle instead, and this was a massive shame, because personally I did enjoy the more grounded and realistic vehicles a whole lot more. For example, like the ramp buggy or any supercar, or even the Oppressor Mk1, which was way more enjoyable to use. But as soon as you was inevitably blown up by the Oppressor Mk2, then you'd have to pull yours out just to retaliate and compete, unfortunately just adding to the problem and reinforcing that the Oppressor Mk2 was the most important vehicle in the game. So at that stage, what can you actually do in GTA Online? Personally, I lost interest rather quickly after that because there was just nothing left to chase or buy in the game, after everyone was just roaming around on a flying motorcycle. But moving on now, we've already mentioned how the Oppressor Mk2 wasn't inherently evil, and that this was a combination of the tool and also how players used it in the game. Some used it quote unquote correctly or intended, and others used it purely to wreak havoc in lobbies. But one thing that many people aren't talking about is that maybe this was by Rockstar's design. Just think about it, when players own the Oppressor Mk2, what does it lead to? It mainly leads to these few things: more cargo and product being lost, more restarts and purchasing of supplies, and ultimately a lot more frustration. And this could feed into more players spending more time on the game to regain what they have lost, and also a lot more players choosing the easy way out and resorting to shark cards, skipping this process to easily progress and get what they want in GTA Online. So maybe this was part of Rockstar's intention to monetize the game, and this is 100% possible, because after the release of the Oppressor Mk2, the player count didn't really change at all. It actually increased, so clearly this vehicle didn't push players away from GTA Online. But following on from that, let's talk about Rockstar's response to all of this backlash. If you didn't know already, the Mk2 Oppressor was actually nerfed in 2022 with the introduction of the Criminal Enterprises update. The kill-hungry homing missiles were now far less accurate, now being similar to those of the Buzzard helicopter, which in my opinion can be pretty useless at times. Obviously I'm talking about the missiles and not the helicopter, as that was one of the best and most useful vehicles for beginners in GTA Online. On top of that, the Oppressor Mk2 countermeasures were also nerfed, with the flares and chaff having their uses reduced and also the cooldown increased. So this was quite a strong response from Rockstar, but more importantly, the Mk2 still remained dominant and one of the hottest topics around GTA Online too. But following on from that now, a few months later, with the new release of the Los Santos Drug Wars update, there was also a significant and well-deserved change for this vehicle. As mentioned earlier, it was $3.9 million with a trade price of $2.9 million, but with this update it got changed to an $8 million buy price with a high trade price of still $6 million. Essentially, the Oppressor Mk2 had doubled in price, and if you included upgrades on top of this, then it's clear Rockstar was trying to deter newer players from the Oppressor Mk2. But just keep in mind that there's been significant inflation in GTA Online, so that's likely had a big impact on the price increase too. But now let's move on to the positives. For all of you that are wanting GTA 6 to be way more realistic and grounded, I have some good news. After the destructive release of the Oppressor Mk2 in 2018, Rockstar has since been angling the game towards more grounded and familiar content. Some great examples of this include the Diamond Casino heist, which is still my favourite update to this day. On top of that, we also have the addition of the LS car meet, and more recently the interactive car wash business as well. So it's highly likely that Rockstar is going to keep this same formula going into GTA 6, and if they continue to strive for realism as opposed to futuristic vehicles, then in my opinion there's two clear options for GTA 6 Online. Rockstar could either not add stuff like this at all going forward, which I think would please the majority of those invested in GTA 6 Online, or there is the second option, which in my opinion is the best of both worlds, and it's a really simple thing. Just introduce a toggle option for players in GTA 6, or maybe just different server options altogether. You could choose between futuristic GTA or a more realistic and grounded experience, and this option would suit all players, and it would also be a fantastic feature for RP. And following Rockstar's recent acquisition of 5M, then it's highly likely that we're going to see these RP servers actually natively integrated into GTA 6 Online. But finally now, let's answer the question, will GTA 6 Online have the Oppressor Mk2? Based on the history and the backlash, Rockstar knows it was a massive mistake, so they can either remove it or replace it with a more balanced alternative. For instance, they could just introduce faster cars, or maybe personal helicopters or planes that can spawn next to you, or alternatively, and my preferred option, just add in fast travel capabilities like we've seen in Red Dead Redemption 2, or even something similar to the Diamond Casino limo service, where you could travel almost anywhere on the map from your penthouse. Or instead, Rockstar could allow you to teleport between your different apartments in GTA 6. This could help players get around quickly while still maintaining immersion and the realism. So overall, there are a ton of way better options for GTA 6, and I genuinely think if the Oppressor Mk2 wasn't in GTA Online, then I might still be playing it to this day, and that just says it all.